And we are live.
All right, folks, we're back again this week with another interesting topic. I'm going to be talking about managing your kids with dogs. That is a really big topic, Scott. When I are speaking to my families with clients with families that have kids, the dogs nipping, biting, the kids
Yes.
roughhousing with the dog thinking the kids are a play toy and stuff like that. So this is like a really big one, especially for people who are bringing new babies into the home,
Yeah.
especially first-time moms, or just moms in general, or if you're bringing in a baby, because you want to protect your baby. That's like your precious thing. So what I want to do is kind of with folks, I want to go through each ages for the children and kind of tell them what to expect from the dog and how to navigate play and management between the kids and such. Because I do think it's like really important.
Yeah.
Your daughter is how old now, Scott?
My daughter's 9 months old now.
All right. Yep. So 9 months. So let's start with before you even bring the baby home. Let's
Yeah.
start there because I think that's very important. Before you even bring any dog home, you want to prep your dog and your dog. So basically, there's going to be a change in the environment. There's going to be a new dog coming in. And
Yeah.
so what you want to do is you want to kind of think about your current routine now and where your dog. So no, let's backtrack on this. Okay.
Okay.
So think about your current routine now. And if you do have another dog in your house already, if you don't have another dog, you want to kind of manage it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is going to be creating barriers for the dog and the baby between them.
Okay.
So a lot of times just getting like a gate or a crate to put your dog in, but most likely a gated area to section off your home. So your dog is confined to a certain area. And so your baby has space to play as well as your dog have space to play. So you can kind of manage the interactions between them both. So that's just the biggest thing about before the baby arriving. It's just like prepping your home, making
Yeah.
sure it's baby safe and dog safe, both all together. So just getting those gates together and management and blocking off sections. Also, like, going through the stages of development. So children who are 0 to 6 months old, if you think about it, they cry a lot,
Yeah.
they're newborns. And for dogs, that triggers a predatory response. And so a lot of times it may come off like as aggression and things like that, but in reality, it's like the baby triggering, the dog. So you
Yeah.
just want to be mindful for that. And the best thing to do with that, again, is supervise and manage. And manage meaning that, if you have to place your dog in confinement, meaning a pen or X-pen area or
Yeah.
crate, or even having your dog leashed onto you, where you can monitor the interactions between like the baby and the dog as well. So think about
Okay.
it, 0 to 6 months, all the crying, you just want to manage the interactions. And, you want to use treats. Again, make it a positive, interaction with the baby. Use
Yeah.
treats around the baby, with the dog, not closely, but, do some basic obedience around the baby. So, it's like positive associations,
Exactly. Yeah.
Then next, 6 to 24 months, that's when the babies are most mobile, like the
Yeah.
toddler phases. And so in that phase, you'll see that the children kind of wants to invade more on the dog's space because
Oh
they're
yeah.
able to walk and move around. And, the dogs are running, they're playing chase with the dog and stuff like that. And so, most of the time the dog's okay, but it can become aggressive and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So again, you just want to manage the situation and supervise. Um, what you can do in that case, like I said before, if we're all busy, we don't have time to supervise our dogs all times of the day.
Yeah.
So you can actually tether your dog onto something. So that basically just means like, using a leash or some sort of rope and attaching it onto some form of furniture or something where your dog is stationary but can still move around. So you
Okay.
know where they are, especially when you have a toddler moving around as well, and then next you hear a scream and you don't know what happened. So
Yeah.
tethering your dog is actually ideal for that situation. If you don't want to leave them on the furniture and you want them to stay with you, what I advise my clients to do too is you can have a leash, loop it through your belt buckle, clip it onto your dog, and keep your dog with you all day. Or not all day, but for the duration of time you want it. And that's
Yeah.
also good for potty training as well, so your dog's not having accidents all over the home. Um, so now we're moving on to the ages of 2 to 5 years old.
Okay.
And so at this time, your child's becoming a little bit more independent, and
Yeah.
again, they're going to try to steal toys and stuff like that, use the crates and stuff. Moving on to the ages of 5 to 9 year old. So at this age, that's when you get a lot of the teasing coming in and
Okay.
stuff like that, in the rough housing with the dogs and such. So what you want to do is start to teach your dog, not your dog, your children, how to take more responsibility with your dog.
Okay.
So instead of letting them engage in like rough housing and play, give them something to do with your dog. So if you're grooming your dog, you can have them help you groom the dog. Have them responsible for feedings in the morning, before school and for dinner. So just giving them something to do with the dog instead of, doing a rough housing and play and then possibly someone getting hurt. But as always, you still want to manage and supervise the situation by, being active within, the room that you're in with the dog and your children. So moving forward, the ages of 9 to 12 years old. So at that point, they're like beyond supervision with the dog. They can kind of be alone with the dog, but they still may tease or even like poke the dog or, try to do little funny things to the dog, which the dog may not find so funny.
Probably not.
Yeah. But again, supervise the situation, make sure you keeping an eye on, your dog. And there's a few types of management and watching. There's active watching and stuff, which means that you're actually in the room with your dog and your kid, and you watch them so you can see what's going on. And then there's like passive watching, where you're like doing dishes and you're like turning around, like trying to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's two different, things. In some situations, active and passive may be okay. So you just want to think about how your home is set up and which one works for you. But ideally, if you can watch them 24/7 and keep them right there, that would be ideal. Also, just teaching them go to mat or go to place or go to bed. So they have somewhere to go sit and stay while you're moving about, roaming in the house. So you won't have to worry about if they're messing with the kids or if the kids are messing with them as well. So go to mat training, teaching them how to settle down on, in an area, just like relaxing a little bit, which essentially is them just relaxing. So just, training, go to mat. Also, training a reliable recall will help as well. So if you are doing that passive, watching when you're doing the dishes or you're doing something else, you hear that, or the barking or whatever, you call the dog to you and they will come. So, there's just a few things that you can like do between the management and the training. And also one thing that's most important is watching your dog's body language. Because like I said, our dogs are speaking to us at all times and telling us things. And especially if they don't want to do something or something in their face. So sometimes just freeze when you come next to them. That's a sign that they're uncomfortable and you may want to move away. They make it called whale eye, like this. We can see more of the whites of their eyes than the black. That's another sign that, hey, away from me, growling.
Yes, the low growls. Yeah, that's definitely a telltale sign, right?
How's the interaction between your daughter and your dog now?
It's okay. He doesn't like her being in his space. So if she tries to touch him or something like that, unless we're like right there with him or like just making sure she gently touches him, sometimes he'll let a low growl. He likes to have his own space. So like we usually just sort of let him interact with her when he wants to, and we don't. But now I'd say over the past month, the first like maybe 7-8 months, she really didn't care. He was there, but he wasn't there. Now he's there and she's interested. So she'll crawl over to him. She like loves his bowls. And so she's always trying to get into his space or just like touch him now. Right. And so now we have to monitor her more than him because she's more mobile now because she's crawling now and she can like sort of grab things and stuff. And so now it's just like, okay, where is she going? Is she invading his space? Let's be mindful. He'll let out a low growl, let us know, hey, he's not cool with that. And then we sort of respect that, right? So and I've heard like when they get a little bit bigger and they're mobile, I guess I'm not sure what you've heard, but when they sort of become like almost eye level, so they're both looking at the same eye level, then that can be a thing too. But and just sort of keeping an eye on things there.
Yeah, and I hear a lot too, like the kids that are like 3 and under, and if 3 or under, if you think about it, with some
Yeah.
dogs that is eye level,
Yeah.
there's like a real issue with the play interaction because the dog is like playing with them like it's one of the dogs, and the parents
Yeah.
are afraid. So that is a thing. So that's why you want to start early with teaching proper management and making sure that your kids are not bothering the dog when they're eating, giving them alone time. We don't
Exactly.
want people picking up our plates when we're eating.
Yeah.
When they're sleeping too, you don't want to let them go over there and wake them up just because it's fun,
Yeah.
so just being respectful of their space. And also, you're not only teaching your child to be respectful and managing the situation, the dog's also learning as well, boundaries
Yeah.
as well. And
Yeah.
you'll notice, because I noticed with my dogs too, especially if a person comes in when they were younger, they'll be all rambunctious and stuff like that. But the more you manage it and teach boundaries within, they'll learn to go up to that child and kind of stay away. And that's
Yeah.
when you get those dogs where you see the kids like jumping on them, rolling on them and stuff like that, because they learned some type of boundaries. And also they've been
Yeah.
used to that type of tug and play with the kids. So it's good to actually have them play with them, but just some form
That
of
makes
structure.
sense.
If it
Yeah,
makes
some
sense.
actual
Yeah.
structure. Just wait till
Yep.
they're really to really be able to actually play with them. I would imagine too, right? So
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so body language is very important to read.
Yeah.
And usually I give my clients like a little handout. I had it early on in How Dogs Learn lesson. But
Yeah.
yeah, so just looking at their body language. And honestly, it's probably no different. Well, it is, because we don't growl at people. I'm like, it's probably no different than ours. But, we give the kind of look like we're like, don't want to
Yeah.
deal. They do the same look. Only thing, we don't growl. We may say bad things, which may be kind of, but we don't growl. But
No.
so just kind of monitor your dog's body language. You know your dog. You know
Yeah.
how they react to things. And if you have any like reserves about whether they're gonna bite or anything like that, just keep them separated and if you have any questions or anything, you always want to reach out to a trainer.
For sure.
So just to sum things up, so you do want to use a baby gate for management, or X pen or some type of confinement area. If you
Yeah.
have to, for some reason, put your dog in a room just to get a little bit of space, that's fine as well. You just want to make sure you check on when they have all the resources they need, like food, water, and all that stuff. You don't want to allow them access to food, toys, and treats. You just don't want to leave them around. Ideally, if you have older kids, that would be fine. But when you come down to babies and crawling and young people, infants, it's like grabbing it. You don't want to get into
Yeah.
like resource guarding and them tug of war with the baby. So if they're not actively playing with toys or eating treats or food, you want to put those away.
Yeah.
Also, plan to do games with your kids. So a good one a good one for kids too, older kids, is which hand. So
Okay.
a simple one, just putting the treat in the hand, letting your dog sniff
Oh,
the
okay.
hand like that. Instead
Yeah.
of sniff and open if they give it, that's a simple one they could play.
Yeah.
You can take them outside to play find it, which is tossing treats in the ground, and like
That's
so
good.
that way you draw more interaction with the older kids where they're not really using their hands, but they're like close, and then the young ones doing find it, tossing treats. That's more
Yeah.
like them not touching the dog, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it builds that relationship too, right? So they don't
exactly.
have to actually touch, but they're still building out a relationship, building that comfort level and everything, especially for the dog too. So
Exactly. And again, if you're going to passively supervise, which, looking back, just make sure you are checking on them. You can tether them if you want. Also, another thing I wanted to talk about. So your dog, there's a way they tell you like they don't want to be bothered. Or so for instance, if your toddler goes over to your dog and your dog's running away, that's
mhm.
like a pretty good indication that your dog
I would say so.
doesn't want to be bothered. And the same thing if it's like a dog on dog interaction. If you
Yeah.
pull them apart and one of them goes back or both goes back, that means they're okay. But if one of them runs for the hills, that
Yeah.
means that one of them's not okay. You should pull them apart. So the same thing, you should allow your dog to come to your toddler and not your toddler to come to your dog, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So managing that.
For
And
sure.
also, again, if you're away, or, in another room, just manage the situation. But hopefully these are all some good tips for people to follow. I know my daughter's 11, but sometimes I have to use the younger tips. So honestly, you can use them all for any age level, but it's just important, like if you only have like an age group to focus on, just to know, like basically just to know ahead of time what to expect. Like, okay,
Yeah. Exactly.
my dog's, the baby 0 to 6 months, she's going to be one soon. Okay, this is when they crawl and this should happen. So the more you can manage the situation, the better it will be. And the dogs love repetition and they love structure. So creating structure around your kids and the dog even before the baby gets home, that's fine as well. And what I was going to say, what I paused on earlier, far as when you bring the baby home, don't wait till the baby come home to make changes. So for instance, if you do have multiple pets in the home, and say, for instance, one of them's been there since your kid was like 5, but not the baby stage, and you're bringing the dog in. Say your dog currently sleeps with you. You don't want to wait till the baby comes home to kick the dog out the bed.
That's true.
You know what? Yeah, because then it could, resource.
They become almost resentful of like the baby, and they think that was the reason, right? When it's not. So
exactly. So
is, but,
things like that. We have already. So this, I know I didn't touch on. I touched a little bit on dogs already in the home, but this really is for like dogs in the home, outside the home, just preparing the situation in advance, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I hope these tools were helpful for you guys, and you guys use them if you have babies in the home or babies on the way, and you guys found some useful tips. I hope you found some useful tips, Scott.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Prepare for the next steps and the next steps, definitely.
Yeah,
so
Scott, I know. Scott and I was talking. I'm like, Scott, this one's for you. This one's for you. And he's like, I know.
Exactly.
So I'm glad it helped you and helped other folks as well. But I'm glad you guys were able to join us and grab some useful information. And I will see you guys. We will see you guys next week for another amazing topic. And I will talk to you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.